Merry me, Annie here. Welcome back to Tarot Together. This is this series on the attributes to the Fool card from my perspective, encouraging you to share your agreements and disagreements so we can learn from each other. We have discussed innocence, beginning and beginning again, and the attribute that I am discussing in this video is the journey. There are always delightful paradoxes within the cards. And I mentioned in beginning and beginning again, one of the challenges to consideration of cycles and patterns, if there's not enough of that consideration within the Fool, that he thinks very much in the linear mode, only about the plodding along in a straight line in life. So, journey being another attribute could seem to be more aligned to the reversals to beginning and beginning again. But it does seem to me to be a powerful experience of the card. He's come from someplace and he is going to someplace. Maybe where he's come from and where he's going isn't the import of the card, but the fact that he is on a journey, which the symbolism of the card encourages us to think matters. It's an attribute group in my studies of him. He's dancing at the edge of the cliff. We could say it's a point of arrival. He came from some place to get there. Whether the mysterious items in his wallet were preparation for that, or he carries them with him for some other mysterious reason to be explored and discovered later in his journey, he packed before he left. The journey brought him to this point. So it encourages us to think, what brought us here in our lives? It's about capability. If we think of the Fool as too much of a carefree soul, we forget that he packed for the trip. There was a moment of planning. It's about capability in the sense that the wallet, the symbolism of the wallet, and the fact that he chose to bring it even though he carries it lightly, is that we have everything we need to travel. The journey is about curiosity about what will become. It's not about needing to know what will become, but it's the curiosity that leads us to explore what it might be. It's about the future, but it's about the future as each moment reveals it. It's dedication to a personal way forward. The power of free will. No one else on the journey. Oh, the animal companion is there. But what if the animal companion in this instance, in relationship to the journey, is our primal instinct to move, not separate from the Fool in the human appearance. It's a personal way forward. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone else, whether they in the sense of inspiration or judgment or what someone thought we should do or our living up to someone else's expectations. Free will. Taking it upon ourselves to move. I saw someplace in my researches that it was all about existentialism. Well, this is what happens when you research. I'm like, I don't get that. I don't pretend to be that deep of a thinker. So I went off then, on a tangent, to research existentialism, which I had kind of a notion in my mind what it was, but I couldn't make it fit when it came to the Fool card. And the definition was a philosophical theory or approach that emphasizes the existence of the individual person as a free and responsible agent determining their own way through the acts of the will. Dedication to a personal way forward and free will. The journey is experiencing every nuance of living along the way, moment to moment. It's about, in a sense, having high aspirations. Permitting yourself the freedom not to be held back by your own expectations or the expectations of others. To hold yourself maybe aligned to that spiritual sun, or the far distant vista, or the siren call of what lies at the bottom of the chasm. Higher aspirations which almost seem to be the ethereal nature to living, and not that in the moment physical experience of living. Somewhere I saw this phrase, and I liked it. Humble learnings from life. If you think of the hobo aspect of the fool, with everything he needs packed in his little bag, wandering along, wisdom gained along the way, and the sum of that at the end of the journey, maybe his leap off the cliff, is making an offering of that wisdom to the world. Journey is life as momentum, not stagnant, not stuck. But importantly, especially due to this power of the spiritual sun in the Fool card, life is momentum as what happens within that growth and maturity and personal evolution and spiritual evolution, the higher purpose in a way, that sun in the Fool's sky, to life as constant movement and change. It's living in the moment, the paradox of the journey, the importance of each of the moments along the way. The sum of the moments equal the journey. It's about minimalism and simplicity in the journey. We can't say there's no baggage. He's come from someplace. We get that feeling. He prepared for this journey. We get that feeling too. But he did no more than was necessary in order to move himself. The journey is the experience of not being concerned with what we are doing in relationship to outer standards, the things that are outside of us, the expectations of others, the burdens and responsibilities of life, the need to make life linear or understand it or set goals. Not concerned with those things. The journey in the Fool's card is the joy in the search, in momentum, and in movement. Purpose is the experiences along the way, but then again, in this moment that captured in the imagery on the card, he's paused. A sacred pause. You have to wonder what he's considering at this very moment. He hasn't made the leap yet, but he's come from someplace. He's between that and the leap. And there is a sacred pause. The powerful, life-changing journey includes those sacred pauses. And those kinds of journeys are not only about seeking, about the quest, but being willing to seek again and again, no matter what life throws at us. Allowing curiosity and wonder to move us forward in spite of. This journey that the Fool's on is about self-activation. No one's making him do this. It all comes from within, and perhaps from the voice within that echoes that spiritual sun in the sky. It's about self-realization, understanding what one is capable of, throwing oneself into one's own possibility. It's the urge to explore even when we're not quite sure what's calling us on. We don't have to understand why. It's the urge to move. I saw a reference someplace to the fool's journey as a pilgrimage. So I researched what pilgrimage meant, and it is a journey that has a purpose. He is on a pilgrimage. The wonderful thing about his pilgrimage, and it applies so beautifully to our lives, is he knows there's a reason, but he doesn't have to know in this moment as he moves forward what the reason is. But there is a sense of the journey, the movement, with some higher energy moving along with him. My reversals. What happens when there is not enough or too much sense of movement and journey in life, or if it's an action outside of its proper time? We can be so concerned about staying in motion. We don't take the sacred pause. We don't live the moment. We can be so concerned with staying in motion, we fall into rote repetition. We forget why we're doing anything. And if we're the fool, well, he doesn't need to know what the purpose is. He has a sense. There is some higher meaning. If he loses touch with that, he's like a robot plodding along. Journey. Out of balance is fear of leaving the known and the comfortable. Imagine, where was the fool when he packed his bag? He chose to leave that. Doesn't look like he was driven out by fear, because he looks awfully happy to be journeying. But what if wherever he was when he packed held a strong energy of this is your safe haven and you don't dare venture out of this? A stifled journey. There is a balance to the movement of the journey, which is feeling that there is no reason to move along. Again, he teaches us we don't have to know the reason. In fact, one of the reasons we're moving along is to discover purpose. But if we're without any sense of faith, a relationship to the power of movement and purpose, we stand still. If he didn't prepare correctly for his journey, if he didn't put the right things in his bag, he won't get the full experience of the journey. There could be a lack of readiness to experience life along the way fully, letting those moments add up to a greater life. He could be in a pause along his journey, halted by worry and concern and fear, wondering what others are thinking, judging himself. He could also be so busy moving, he doesn't see what he's meant to see along the length of his journey. He could also be on a journey that he heads off to and then fails to complete, drifts, becomes apathetic, comes to a stand still. Along the way, he's going to need his past. There's no doubt about that. What if he has no appreciation of the gifts and the talents and the experiences that he not only brought with him, but continues to gather along the way? Especially that happens during trying times for him and for all of us, losing touch with the value in even those moments. That journey, it's not going to be a linear one, especially since the fool doesn't have a specific goal in mind. The goal is to journey. But when there's shifts and there's changes, how does he adjust to that? Will he be resistant to change? The balance to that, the other extreme is, will he be resistant to staying the course? Distracted, bored even, upset during the challenging times? Will he hesitate to walk that talk, to bring to life the dream that he had and that set him in motion? What if this constant journeying creates a restless soul, unwilling to experience the details of life along the way, and no matter what's happening, always waiting for the next big thing, thinking that all the moments have to be momentous moments in a journey? What if, especially in light of challenges along the length of his journey, he loses track with the fact that he is constantly evolving and changing? That might be the only purpose to his journey. What if he loses track of that? The Fool and his journey. What are your thoughts on journey, on the wisdom of the Fool card? And then, what if that energy is lacking or overwhelming or happening out of its proper time in life? As always, your comments are welcome below and on our Facebook group, and the end of this video always has a link to that information. Mary Part.